Hello everyone and welcome back to Grounded. So last episode we completed mixes 6 and 7 with great difficulty, but we did it in the end. This time I think we're gonna not go for the remaining mixer. Gonna save that for another time. I think I'm all mixed out for now. And what we might do instead, I did make some gastro goo and green machine ready for that final mixer because I know there's a green shield bug that will attack. But we'll leave these for now. Just kind of thinking what I want to do this episode is I'd really like to kill my first moth. And I've never fought a moth, I've never even watched someone fight a moth, so I have no idea what they are like, what their attack styles are like, how hard they hit, how easy it is to even lure them down from their really awkward positions. But it would be really good if I could get one, get the parts and do some analysing, and maybe even get some armour from them. So that's my thought process for today. We might attack one just to see what they're like before we go up and give it a proper go, but we'll have a think. I have a feeling they're going to be tougher than they look. I did attack one before on top of one of the lights and it knocked me straight off and I died from fall damage. So that is the extent of my experience with moths on this game. So they are nocturnal. I wonder if that means they're going to be flying around during the night. I'm assuming it does. I can't say I've seen one flying around during the night, but I guess it is dark up high where they usually are. I'm not sure if we'll be able to lure one down during the day, or if we'll have to actually go up to one and fight it. So it's weak to fresh, spicy, and sour, so 3 elements, which is very unusual. But it's resistant to busting, which is fine. Hammers are kind of crap. It's resistant to slashing, so that puts our toenail scimitar out of question, and it's resistant to salty, so salt morningstar also a no-go. But we could pretty much use any elemental weapon to fight this thing. And I'm thinking because we need a salty weapon, a sour weapon to do Drekta Schmekta, do we just go down that route? I think possibly we do. Now looking at Director Schmekta, because I would like to prepare for him as well. We can't use chopping, stabbing, slashing against him. Busting we're not going to use against him because hammers are rubbish. But his only weakness really then is sour. So we would probably need to use a generic weapon. And that to me screams Club of the Mother Demon. Now I know that we already have one of these, but it's not a sour variant, and I think it would be good to have a sour variant of this weapon. Even if it's not for the moth, but we'll try it on the moth. But for Director Schmekta, I think it's a good shout. So what I think we'll do is I think we'll make one. I mean, the Mother Demon, the Brood Mother is not difficult, so if we need more parts we can get them back again. We're going to actually have almost enough to make another one of these anyway, minus 1 Brood Mother Fang. So we'll make one of these and let's just put it down the sour path. can actually get it straight up to level 8. And the only thing we need is a sour jewel to get it up that extra level. Now, because we're going to take on a moth, I'm just thinking, what is the best thing to use for that? So I think we're definitely going to want to take a lot of smoothies. We've only got 26, which is crazy when you think about how many mussel sprouts we did have. We might need more than that though. Guess we'll make a couple extra. And we're definitely going to need to make some more bandages. Let's do that. Thinking against this thing, but can't use a shield, so I'm probably going to want some bulky armor on. Bleed would probably be nice though, if I'm honest. But we've got 2 medium armors. And we've got poison coating, venom coating, and cutman. I feel like we're just gonna get battered. I feel like this is gonna hit much harder than I'm thinking it's going to. So I think we should give it a little test, expecting to die. And because we're going up high, I'm not going to feel comfortable taking the dandelion tuft off. Ideally, I'd want to do the one on top of Moldorc Castle because we have the top to fight on. But the mosquitoes will have respawned, so that is an absolute no-go. There is one on top of... where is it? On top of there, you can actually see it. Looks like it's flying around, but it's not at the moment. That's probably going to be the one we try. But we're not going to be able to stay on top of there, it's going to end up knocking us off for sure. But that is the one we are going to give a little test on it. Now, I'm not a big fan of flying creatures and fighting them. And these things are in much more awkward places than the normal flying creatures that would fight, so... yeah, should be fun. I'm not too sure about mutations. Let's just take a look. So, coup de grace, we're gonna want that on for sure. Shock and dismissal, maybe. I honestly don't think there's many other ones that we could go for here. I don't really know what attack damage it does. Could use Rascal Rogue because we might nick a piece of gear or two. Parts, sorry. Apex Predator, that would make my weapon hit harder. Might be worth having. But honestly, I don't really know what the best thing to use here is, so let's just go with this for now and see.
That tastes really good.
See what happens. Now we are going to have to do a little bit of parkour, so I'm just going to switch to this one for now. I'm also going to do a quick save here, just because it'll speed up time It's not going to make much difference if I have to come back after dying and collect my stuff. The only thing it's going to do is make the video longer and boring to watch me running back here a million times. So if I die, I'll just reload. This is just a test as well, so I have a feeling it's going to knock me off.
Why didn't have them butterflies or something?
Because we're fighting on... So once again I accidentally pressed the key on my controller that muted my microphone. So unfortunately for the rest of this episode there will be no live voiceover. I'll input some voiceover dialogue wherever necessary, and I'll also speed up some parts of the video because it doesn't make for fun viewing if it's just me running around the yard with no dialogue and nobody knows what's going on. So I'll do a few edits to this video, but for now we are fighting the moth, and so far so good. It turns out it wasn't as difficult as I was first expecting. That attack is quite damning though. If it knocks you off, it's not great. That is what happened to me when I fought one of these in the past. I literally got one hit in, knocked off and died, as I mentioned earlier. But yeah, we are pretty close to killing this thing. It's got venom, it's poison, and now it is dead. So we will be able to now scan the moth scale, the moth fuzz, and maybe even make some new armor, which could be useful for killing wasps later on. I think there is one that applies a bleed effect with ranged weapons, so very useful to have this. I actually think I now go and try and kill a few more moths, because we're of course going to need a few more materials to make any armor. As I mentioned, I will speed up some sections of the video, particularly those where I'm just running across the yard. So now we're going to analyse the moth parts that we found before we go and collect some more. There's only one thing for us to analyse, and it discovered 0 new blueprints, because we've already discovered the moth armour. So here I'm just doing a resource surveyor scan for more moth parts, to see which ones we can go and kill. And after some great difficulty we managed to make it to the top and to another moth. So I'm just backing up into the corner here because it's a safe place where we won't get knocked off when we fight this, because we are quite limited for space. So I'm going to use that little gap to make sure I don't fall and die. And there we go, that's another moth down, another 1 moth skill received, and 5 more fuzz. I think we notice here that there is some creatures missing from our peeper section. Not entirely sure which ones they are at this point, but spoiler alert, we find one of them later on. So there's a little bit of time in crafting menus here. We end up crafting the moth torso and legs for future use, probably against wasps. And now we also proceed to upgrading the armor so that it's ready as well. Next up, we will also then go and test this against some creatures in the nearby area. So there's our first bleed debuff applied to the ladybug, which is the main thing with this armour, to be fair. We're also applying some poison from our so quite a good combination, and that is kind of what we need against wasps. As you can see now, poison, venom and bleed is also applied to the ladybug. which is a good combination. And something you'll also see more if I get around uploading my Dagger's playthrough, as that is pretty much what that
Ants
playthrough
coming through.
is based on. So stay tuned for that and subscribe so you don't miss it.
Safety first. Feeling refreshed.
So we go on to craft a marksman cap here, and we also upgraded down the sleeky route as well to give us the ranged bonuses that come with it. The idea is to mix that with the moth armor if we ever take on some wasps, just to help us kill them a little quicker. And now we get hit by a base defense. Orb weavers again, so I'll play this in normal speed and let you see how it plays out. Also gives me the opportunity to test out this new range build, so you'll see the debuff start to pop. Okay, and what seems to happen with this base quite a lot happened again. So the raid ended partway through, probably because the orb weavers can't get up to my actual base. I'm not entirely sure why that happens, but if I'm honest, I'm not going to complain. Not a huge fan of base defense raids, if I'm honest, so yeah, all fine with me. So after some base repairs, we do a little bit more testing with this new ranged build on some creatures. Ultimately here we are heading over to the flooded area for a secret location that we've not yet discovered on this playthrough. It's one that I have not discovered myself at all at this point, but more details on that when we get there. So I'll see you there.
Evening time.
So there is one of the insects that we were missing, and we forgot to peep the infected weevil. So for this next part of the video, I'm actually looking for the secret lab that exists behind the flooded area of the yard. Because of the lack of voiceover, I'm not going to make you guys watch it with just me running around trying to figure out where on earth it is. I'm actually also going to make a cut here because I start building up somewhere and I get it completely wrong. So you'll see that I ping here where I think it might be. Takes me a little while to actually get up to those heights, and then it turns out to be wrong. I eventually do find it, so I'll make a cut here and I'll skip back to when we're actually climbing up to the correct location. So at this point I figured out I was in the incorrect location at the start, so I'm just clearing the insects out around the milk carton so that we can climb up it and see if we can find the entrance to the secret lab from up there. I'll keep this on 3x speed, but I'm going to put a cut in at some point as well.
Let's take a look. Location marked here.
So once again I'm just going to make a cut here while I move all of my staircases over to the correct location. And here we are, the hidden lab, well, secret lab. We're just going to blow up the door and have a look to see what's inside. So we found the Rotten Berry Charm, a new trinket that we don't have yet. Not likely to be one that we use. Its ability isn't something we necessarily need for this playthrough that we're doing. We've pretty much thrown away all of our rotten weapons, so it's actually pretty pointless. But maybe for future playthroughs, knowing that this exists, the rotten weapons might be a viable option, who knows. we've also found the pinch whacker. So this is a weapon, not one that we're going to use again. It's not that amazing. I think there is also a better variant of it somewhere in the yard which we haven't found yet. And for the rest of this section we are just going to start looking through the lab to see what we can find. I was actually a little bit disappointed with the lab. I thought there'd be more to find in here, but it looks like there's a few things. I think that thing that we're looking at there is actually something they were going to add into the game initially, but they decided not to. It basically looks like a berry with teeth. But it's a little shame that you can't get around to the other areas of this lab. It would have been cool just to kind of have a roam around a new big secret area, but nope, after a few minutes in here I kind of figure out that this is it basically. But still a cool find and one that we can tick off the list. So at this point we head back to base, so I'll speed up the journey again as not much eventful happens along the way. Okay, back at base we're going to repair the pinch whacker that we found and we're going to test out a few creatures. Again, I'll speed this section up as there's no audio. So my conclusions here were that it's not the best weapon. Its effect when it activates is good, but it doesn't activate often enough for it to be a weapon, a viable weapon to use going forward. So it'll probably end up in the box for the rest of the playthrough. Let me know down in the comments if anyone actually uses the pinch whacker as one of their main weapons. And finishing off the episode here, we're just looking at the map to see what we could potentially do next time. Now there's obviously the Brawny Boy box which we could do, that would require pissing off the wasps, and there's also Director Schmechter, and there's also the remaining mixer. Once again, apologies for the audio issue on this one. I will change my mapping for muting my microphone to make sure it doesn't happen in future episodes. But thank you for watching, and I will catch you all on the next one, which should be version 1.3.